Hi, just doing a quick follow-up on the turn shoes. Wanted to show you how those came out. So where we left off last time, the leather had been cut out, the sole had been sewn to the sides, and the shoe had been turned. But it was wet, it needed dye, and the side flap needed to be sewn down, and the toggle needed to be completed as well. So the first thing is sewing the side flap down to the shoe. And this is something that should have probably been done before the shoe had been turned. But one of these did have the benefit of being wet, and that made it really easy to get the needle to poke through. The other one was more dry and didn't have that same advantage. As soon as that side flap is sewn, we can dye the shoe. And it dries pretty quickly, and then we need to shape the flap so it's a little more round. And it looks like it's more finished, and then use a paintbrush here just to cover up any sides. Now use some glue here to glue down the little bit of string there just to make sure it was really secure. And then we're going to start on the toggle. So these are the toggles. We need 2 of these. So we mark off the sides there, and then we're going to be cutting this with an X-Acto knife. We'll cut it so there's a single piece going down the center, and then that single piece will be cut into 2 pieces, or just slice through the center, so it's essentially 2 straps. And I'm using the same leather that I used for the uppers. It's a very pliable, very soft leather. You may want to dye it before doing this, just so that every portion does get the dye, but I chose to dye it after it's attached to the shoe. Then roll this up. We'll need to mark on the toggle where we're going to cut a couple of slits to push those 2 pieces of lace through. Cut those with the X-Acto knife after marking them, and then I'm going to poke them through the hole and pull that tight. And I'm only doing 1 toggle per shoe. You could do 2 toggles if you wanted to. I think it's just a matter of preference there. There are quite a few different ways you could complete this. And we want to make sure that it's not too long, not too short. And we've got 4 holes per side to punch. So 4 for the flap, 4 for the sort of the heel of the shoe. And then we want to cut another strip of leather about 12 inches long again. And this will hold the toggle in the back. So go in through the heel and then out. You could tie those 2 ends together, or you could just tie them in knots. I decided to tie these together. And again, this may be where you actually would want to dye the leather first, because those pieces inside probably won't ever get dye on them. But they shouldn't show either, so it shouldn't be a big deal. It's just a matter of preference. You may want to put this on your foot just to make sure that it fits and that you can easily get these undone. They're not too loose and they're not too tight. And then you'll mark the top piece so that you can do basically the same thing with the top that you've done to the heel. And it takes a little bit of practice to get these in and out, but they shouldn't be way too tight. And obviously the purpose is to hold those shoes on, so they shouldn't be too loose. You can use a punch or an awl. I use an awl for the heel, just because it's harder to get that punch all the way down the side of the shoe. But for the flap, I use that punch. It makes a rounder, neater hole. And then just pull those through and tie them up. And like I said, you can either tie them together in this way, or you could tie each piece separately so you have just knots. Now, a lot of shoes you'll see that the ties are on the inside. It seems like comfort-wise, it might be better to have them on the outside. And then we're going to be dyeing it and then adding a waterproofing agent on the outside. So this is mink oil, and put it on pretty thick here. You don't want to leave it on. You want to make sure that it's all the excess is removed. So after giving each shoe a good coating, take it off. Maybe just make sure you've got everything filled in there. So do a second coating, and then we'll take a dry rag and get all of that removed. It shines it up. Might make it a little bit darker, but it definitely protects it. And there we are. So that's what we've got. I think they look pretty good. Certainly for a beginner, I think they're not too bad. So now I have something to wear the next time that I head outside in my full kit. But I do appreciate you being here today and for watching. If you found the video interesting, please give it a like or subscribe. I'd love to have you here as well.